Hello everyone, welcome to J-Hook Crochet. I'm Reggie and this is Yarniversity. I'm very happy to have you all here today. Hello Nancy, I hope that you remember that you're still here, and Sherry, I'm very happy that you made it to the live. And hi Lori, and you say I'm in your ear while you're cleaning up the kitchen. Lori, less housework, more crochet. Hello, Francie and Debbie and Jenny is here. Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining me. Hello, Nana's house. Welcome. And Jana is here. Hi, welcome from South Africa. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening to everyone. It is 6 in the evening here where I am. And hi Tori and Cynthia and Linda, welcome everyone. We have a very interesting topic to talk about today, but before we begin I want to say welcome. If you are new here, please don't forget to hit the like button when you come in. This really helps lets YouTube know that we are here and spread us out to more users. And if you're not yet subscribed to my channel, I would very much appreciate it if you subscribe. As always, I like to begin with welcoming new members who joined the membership program over the past week. So I would like to welcome Carrie, the Yarny Elephant, and she joined our membership program in the past week, making it up to 20 members of the channel, which also allowed me to add a new emoji to our emojis. So if you are a member, you can go and look through the emojis, to the special emojis that members can use, and see if you find a new funny emoji that I added. Hello Angela, the crazy poppy lady. She says good afternoon from UK, good morning to the US, and I'm in Australia. Hey, yeah, I think you covered everyone. Hi Jamie, hello, welcome, and Dee's here, good to see you all. Wonderful. So if you guys don't know, the membership program, if you look right next to the subscribe button, there is a little button that says join. And if you press that button, it will take you over and give you a rundown of what it means to be a member of the channel. And if you're interested in joining, then you can choose which level of membership you would like to join, and join our membership program. If you cannot see the little join button, then down in the description box below there is also a link that will take you directly to the membership program page and explain all about it. There's also a little video where I explain everything, so if you prefer to hear it from me or you prefer to read it out, it's all there. Hello Shannon, thank you for joining. Welcome in. The new emoji is not the kitty with the yarn, it is actually the witch hat that I see Lori and Jana found. Yeah, but we have, I told you guys, I have like a whole range of those emojis ready. So every time we reach a new level of number of members, which allows me to add another emoji, I'm very excited. It takes me forever to decide which one of the emojis I want to add. It sounds silly, but I mean, I spent so much time preparing them for you guys. Oh, hello to Munich. I'm so happy to see a fellow German here. What's your name? Please tell us. Yarns Crossing, welcome in. I am actually in the Aachen area, so we're kind of far apart, but I used to live in Munich for quite a long time. Dee says hello to all. It's 1 p.m. Eastern time in Central North Carolina. Am I right? After our time change, it's a gorgeous sunshiny day. Oh, you guys changed the clock already? I think we're doing it either this weekend or next weekend. And hello Tammy, welcome. Well, So if you're new here, I am not very good with keeping up with chat while I talk or give the class. So once we start talking about the topic that we are here today to talk about, and once I start babbling away the information, then I'm not really good with keeping up with the chat while doing that. So every once in a while, I will stop or make a pause in the subject and go and look into the chat. So if you wrote anything or asked anything in the chat while I was talking and I missed your comment, just write it again in the chat and I will get to it. I'm not ignoring anyone on purpose. So please don't get offended. Oh, and please make sure that that your chat is set to live chat and not to top chat. Just look on the top of the chat button. There's like a little arrow. Press on it and go to live chat, so that you see everyone's comments. In case I'm reading comments that you don't see, or there are people in the chat that you can't see, just make sure that you are on live chat. Hello to Dan Spencer, welcome, and Linda is here. Hi, welcome, thank you for joining today. Yeah, well, Jamie, you can be a witch all year round in my house. Shannon wants to know the pattern for the beautiful shawl behind me. This one. This is the Nessie shawl. It is a shawl pattern by Sis Homemade. I talk about them very, very often in my videos. They are my absolute favorite designer duo. And you can find this pattern on Ravelry as well as on their website. They are Sis Homemade. You can also find them on Instagram. And this pattern is already out. It's already released, but I actually made this shawl while I was testing the pattern for them. Do we spring forward too? Yes, we do, Jana. Yes, we do. I wish we didn't. There's been a plan for ages to stop doing that, but we do. Jenny, you're also in Munich. I did not know that. Ooh, we have several Germans here. I am so happy. That makes me so happy. Hello. Hello to all of you. But I missed if the little girl from... Oh, your name is Biene? Biene, right? Am I pronouncing it correctly? Wow, okay, there's a lot of people here. I'm so happy. Hi, Sabrina, welcome. Thank you for joining. It's so good to see so many familiar faces here today and so many new faces here today. I'm very, very happy that our channel is growing. We are very, very close to 3,000 subscribers and I'm very excited. Those of you who's been with me from the beginning, you guys all know I've always said that if I get 10 subscribers and 5 of them are my family, I would still be happy. And I am just so excited of how the channel grew, of how this Yarniversity program has been so well accepted and so grew so popular, and I'm very, very happy that you all are here with me. Angela's making poppies. Okay, no problem. Lurking is definitely allowed here at the Yarniversity. And Linda says the UK changes the clock as well. Debbie, oh, you guys stayed on daylight saving? Always, that's good. Oh yeah, and happy Mother's Day to everyone in the UK. I did get that from Facebook today that that today is the British Mother's Day, so happy Mother's Day to you. Okay, so As always, I like to start with a little bit of administration. So I already welcomed our new member that joined this week, and I already explained to you guys about the membership program. And if you're interested in that, like I said, the join button is in the description box below, and there's also a link in the description box below to tell you guys all about the membership program. And as you can see, if you see someone in the chat that is that their name is in green and they have like a little logo next to their name, like a little symbol, those are the members of the channel. Hello, Teresa, welcome. And Angie, hello, thank you for joining. So, I wanted to thank everyone who purchased anything from my Etsy store in the past week. I guess you guys who follow the Etsy shop or who like to favorite the Etsy shop noticed that there was an update on the Etsy shop, and the new spring edition of the surprise yarn boxes is on the Etsy shop now. So for those of you who were asking about it over the past few weeks, the shop has been restocked, and if anyone's interested in that, don't forget that as viewers of my channel, you get a special discount. For the members, the discount code is in your membership tab, and for everyone else who's not a member, the code for you guys is in the description box below, and you're more than welcome to use it. You can use it more than once, you can use it as many times as you want. So yeah, thank you for everyone who already purchased the mystery yarn boxes. Anyone who purchased over the past week, if you didn't get a shipping notification yet, you will get one tomorrow. It will go out on Monday. And I always say that, please excuse the slow mailing system. We are in kind of a different situation, the whole world right now, so don't worry. Package, if I sent it, it's coming. It might take a while, but it will be there. I also want to thank everyone who purchased from the Teespring shop over the past week, and I really like, and I'm very, very happy that you guys like the J-Hook Crochet as well as the Yarniversity merchandise. And if you purchased anything from the Yarniversity merchandise, I would very much like to see it when you receive it. So please feel free to post pictures of it on the Facebook group, on Instagram. You can tag me, you can use the hashtag Yarniversity, and I will see it. Yeah, so that's administrative wise. Oh, and I promised you all that I will always remind you in the beginning of Yarniversity, if you haven't yet gone back to last week's class and commented with the answer to the question that I asked during the class in order to enter into the giveaway, then now is the time. Open another tab. Don't close this window. Open another tab, go back to last week's class, answer the question that I asked in the comments to enter into the giveaway, and we will pull the winner at the end of today's chat. Okay, so before we jump into our class subject, let's see if I missed any interesting comments in the chat. You guys are all talking to each other, so that's okay. Lori says, our neighborhood has a Black Hat Society. Members dress up in the most amazing outfits for all seasons and dance in all the parades. Can't wait to see them Wednesday. Oh, that's cool. So Teresa is here and Cynthia is here. So welcome to everyone joining in and everyone coming in. And like I said, if I missed you, I'm not doing that on purpose. I'm very bad with this back and forth. All right, so today, oh, by the way, today's class, as well as all the previous classes from the past weeks, is already live on the blog. So if at any point you get tired of hearing my voice, or you have to leave, or you came in late and you missed the beginning, you can always watch the replay. But if you prefer to have it in written form, as well as all the different cheat sheets that I will give in today, they will all be on the blog post, and the link to the blog post is in the description box below this video. So if at any point you want to leave this video and prefer to have it in the written form, the link to the blog post is in the description box below, and all the information from today's live is already up there. All right. And Kathy is joining us from Vermont. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Please don't forget to hit the like button when you come in. And if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, I would very much appreciate if you subscribe. All right, so today's topic is yarn terminology. And when I say yarn terminology, I talk mainly about all those informations about the yarns that we can find either in the yarn description on the website when we shop online, or on the yarn ball band or tag in the store when we shop in the store. All that information that some of it we may have an idea of what it means, and some of it is just words to us, and some of it we might know what it means but don't know how is it relevant to us. So this is what we are covering today. So if you ever wondered about all this information on the yarn ball that you do not understand, this is what we're doing here. There is quite a lot of information on there, and it is mainly meant to let us as yarn users know as much as possible about the product that we are getting. How was it made? What is it made of? What can we use it for? What kind of projects? And so on. How should we treat it once our project is done? There is a lot to learn about yarn from looking at the tag or the description on the website. So the thing is, sometimes even after reading it, we still don't really fully understand what it means, because some of those terms are less familiar to us. So if you want to know more about those terms, then stay with me, and that's what we're going to cover today. I feel like I'm missing a lot in the chat. Hello, Claptrap, welcome. Thank you for joining. Okay, to clarify, the Black Hat Society is a group of witches. All genders, all ages. Not we can just pretend. Okay. Oh, no. Okay, not we can just pretend. Yes, definitely post some pictures of that on our Facebook group. I love witches. Some would say I'm one. Hello, Wilma from the Netherlands. Thank you for joining us. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to, well, talk / show you guys is what I mean. So here is a ball. This is actually called a bullet skein, but okay, of Bernat satin. This is by Yarnspirations, and you can see there is a lot of information on that tag. Now, some of it you might recognize, some of it you might know what it means, but some of it you might know what it means but not sure why it's on there, or not quite know what it means and just ignore it when you buy the yarn. This specific tag also have a cool extra being a pattern on the other side of the ball band, so it's always worth taking a look. Even if it doesn't say that there's a tag on the other side, I always make sure. Debbie, what is FOMO? I have no idea what that means. I feel clueless right now. Please let me know what that means. Yeah. So, ball band. I always like to check if there's a pattern inside, even if it doesn't say, because I did come across a few skeins of yarn that didn't say that they have it, but had it inside. Also, fear of missing out. Oh yeah. Oh, I definitely do. I feel like you guys are all like chatting in my class and I should like write you all up. Right? Right? I should yeah. I should definitely like sit you guys separately or in the corner or something like that. So another one that some of you might recognize, this is a Red Heart Super Saver, and some of the information on both ball bands is the same, some is different. Some companies give more information on their ball bands than others, some give less, and that's very dependent on what company it is and what are their intentions in writing up the ball band. Hello, Lashira, welcome. Yeah, I am. I'm missing a lot while not reading your chat, but it's okay. I am the teacher. I'm not supposed to like fraternize with my students, right? But then you will also come across ball bands like this one. This is a hand dyed yarn. This specific one is Little Vicious Stitches. You guys all know that I love her. She's my absolute favorite yarn dyer. This specific colorway, I got to name it, so I'm very proud of this specific one. But this is from an independent dyer. She has her own labels, but as an independent dyer, she probably does not have the need, the will, the purpose to put a whole bunch of information on there. So she puts just a very short info. We have the name. This one is called Wicked. That's the name that I proposed for this yarn, which I am very, very proud of. But you see, so there is a big difference between the amount of information that you have on this kind of tag and then the amount of information that you have on this kind of tag, right? So independent seller, big brand, right? But still, there is a way in which we can decipher this, and that's exactly what I'm here to do today. Hello, Kim. Welcome. Will there be beer in the corner? Madonna, there is wine in my corner. And welcome, Madonna, and welcome, Mary Bell. Hello. That's okay. You didn't miss much, Kim. Right? It's very beautiful. This is a beautiful, beautiful yarn. If you guys don't know Little Vicious Stitches, her link is always in my description box below because I have a special discount for viewers of my channel. There's a special discount on her store. And for all the Germans in the chat, she is based in Germany, so it's it wouldn't even cost you to ship. If you purchase over 49 euros, it's free shipping. I buy from her a lot. Yeah. Okay. So deciphering this code is what we are here for today. Yes, Lori, definitely the corner is bring your own beer. It's also bring your own chair. So, um, we all have different things that we look at first when looking at a new yarn, whether if we are looking at it on the website or we are buying it in the store. Each of us look at or is attracted to something else first, right? So I would like to know from you guys, when buying new yarn, be it online or in a store, what is the first thing that you look at in the yarn description on the website or the ball band in the store? So let me know in the chat, what is the first thing that you look at, or the first or the most important information for you when you look at a new yarn or a new ball band. Ooh, Debbie says she just received the stitch markers that she won on my last game show from Kim from Affordably Crafty, and she loves them. And Kim, by the way, from Affordably Crafty, on her Facebook group, she posted a whole bunch of stitch markers that she made, and they are now for sale. So if you're interested, go check her out on her Facebook group. All right, so now I can finally, there's a delay between the time I say things and the time I see your comment. So Lori says, Jamie says color and the weight. Lori says fiber content. Madonna says fiber content. Kim says the weight. Kim, do you mean the weight, yarn weight, or the weight of the ball? How much is in the ball? Wilma says content and yarn weight, and if it's washable. That's important. Crafty Chat says DK acrylic under $5. That is very specific. The color gets me, but I read the later for the weight first, says unapologetically Mocha. Kathy says fiber content, weight and washing instructions, says Debbie. Material, don't buy wool. And next the yards, says Consuelo. Sure, Kim. Shannon says she looks at the weight. And then the fiber. Janice says if it has wool. Wool is very itchy, although I have bought superwash merino to try. So Kathy said fiber and yardage. Claptrap said fiber and weight, then washing instructions. Weight and fiber, yarn weight, material and length. Okay, so I guess most of us first look at how much is in the ball, the yarn weight, and the fiber content, right? So me, personally, the first thing I look at is what is it made of. That's, for me, the composition of the yarn or the materials, that's the first thing. There is no material that I don't work with at all. There's no like a no, if it has this, I will not buy it. But it is important for me because, well, you guys all know me. I know my yarns. So I want to know what this is, what is it that I'm buying. And a funny story, I have a while back, when I was just starting to, I was a knitter for a very long time. But when I was just starting to crochet, I wanted to crochet a bag. And I knew that not every fiber works well with bags. Some are too stretchy, they don't hold form, and so on. So I knew more or less what I wanted to buy, and I went to the store, and I came across this ball of yarn that only said, the only thing it said on it was miscellaneous fibers. I was like, that? And I was a beginner back then. Well, like I said, I have had my share of knitting before, but I didn't have as much knowledge in yarn and fiber as I do now. And I was like, miscellaneous fibers, is this like a guess the yarn kind of skein. Like, what am I supposed to do with that information? That tells me absolutely nothing. Yeah, and that was, just a funny anecdote. Nana says she basically used thread, but expanding to other fibers. Get a little confused as to what the best item to make. Yeah, that's a whole other Yarniversity. What to make with what. Kalina says if it's machine washable, hook size. Hey, Anvita, welcome. Angie says look at the fiber and weight, how much in the skein. Hey, Jamie. Lashira first looks at the color. Crafty chat, so basic, fancy. Yeah, I get that. Novelty yarns are a no-no. Lori says she can get pretty close to the weight just looking at it, and color is what draws my eye, but the first thing I look at on the label is the fiber content. Yes, exactly. I mean, that was my question, Lori. We will talk about rep per inch today, Kim. Yes, definitely. So, like I said, first thing I look at is the fiber content. Is it a pure fiber or is it some kind of blend? What type of fiber it is. The fiber content will pretty much tell you a lot about the yarn, how it behaves, as well as how it should look after your project is done. So, I mean, you guys who've been with me for a while, there is a lot of information in past Yarniversities about how different fibers behave and how you should treat them. And if you're new here, I highly recommend, if you're interested in that, then go back and watch the other Yarniversity classes that we did about different fibers, if you want to learn more about what each fiber brings into a mix. But for me, I already have the information about what each fiber is, but I want to know what is the mix so that I can sort of, in my head, get some kind of comprehension of how this yarn will behave once my project is done. The content information is also important in case of allergies, of course. So if someone is allergic to wool, you don't want to get wool, or if there's a different fiber that you are allergic to or just don't like working with, then it's important to know if it's in there. Also, if your project is aimed towards someone specific, you want to know if they have sensitive skin or if it's made for babies. So there's some materials that you wouldn't use for baby items. And in case the yarn contains wool in it, it is also important to know what type of wool it is, right? So I personally stay away from yarns that just say wool. I try to look for yarns that say what kind of wool. Is it merino? Is it BFL? Is it alpaca? Is it yuck? Is it all the kind of fibers that we've been talking about over the past few weeks? For me, it's important. I want to know what kind of wool. If the tag just says 20% acrylic and 20% wool and I don't know, 60% something else, that doesn't tell me a lot. So I do have some yarns like that in my stash, but when I buy, I tend to not buy yarns that just say wool on them. Different kinds of wool, you guys all know, have different characteristics, so in my opinion, that is important. They all they feel differently, they drape differently, different materials bring different qualities to your projects. So yes, it is. I think that as a crocheter, knitter, any kind of fiber artist, of course, maybe the color will be what draws your eye to it, but when looking at the yarn tag or the description on the website or the ball band, the first thing I recommend looking at is fiber content. So it is important also because some materials are more prone to pilling than others, some felt, some must be hand washed, some shed over time. It's all very important information that you want to know before buying the yarn. And of course, some of that information is also on the ball band. So some ball bands also have washing informations on them. But in case they don't, the fiber content will give you that. If you know your fibers, and for that you have to watch the other Yarniversities. Janice says she would definitely love a class on what to make with what. That's coming up. Hi, Shashi Stitches, welcome. Thank you for joining. Everyone who's coming in, don't forget to hit the like button when you're entering. And if you're not yet subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. Hey, Christy, welcome. Angela says she looks at grams, yards, and fiber content. And wash instructions. Lori says she's allergic and lazy, so fiber content and care instructions are deal breakers for me. I get that. I totally get that. If you can't machine wash it at 40, I don't risk making items with it as I shrink everything. Yeah. All right, Jamie. See you soon. Kim says a fiber she hasn't used before is a big plus for me. So if she sees on the ball band fiber in the fiber content that she never used before, that will draw her towards buying the yarn. That is very interesting, and yes, I do that too. Crafty Chat says country of origin is also a significant factor. Like, do they do fair trade? Oh, I get that. I get that, but that is sadly not an information that a lot of companies give, especially big brands. All right, so now that we know that, well, at least a large percentage of us, of you, behave like me and check the fiber content first, then let's move on to the next thing that you look on. And you guys immediately said, I asked, what do you first look at? And you guys immediately said, fiber content, and then most of you, the next thing you said is yarn weight or yardage or how much is in the ball, so the ball weight, the dry weight. And I must say, for me personally, the next thing I look at is how is it made. So are there any special qualities to the yarn? Now, given that is sometimes can be considered as part of what is it made of. So if the material says that it's made out of superwash some kind of superwash wool, then it's already in the fiber content, so it's not like a separate category. But a lot of yarns, for example, if it says acrylic, 100% acrylic, I look to see if it's anti-peeling. If the yarn is a plant-based fiber, I look to see if it's mercerized. Sometimes it is together with the fiber content, and sometimes it's written separately or is not written at all, and you know, then it's a shame if it's not written at all. But the way the yarn is made is something that's very important to me. So this information is sometimes featured on the ball band, and sometimes you'll have to take an actual closer look at the strand of yarn to figure it out for yourself. In any case, I personally think that it is a key piece of information. It will affect the overall look of your finished project, so it's something you want to, you know, look into. It's also will give you some kind of idea of how your project will behave later once it's done. You guys all talked about washing instructions and so on. So these extra processes that the yarn goes through are important to know. Did it go through it or not? So this category of how was it made, I personally divide it into two. One is the way in which the yarn is spun, and the second is the special processes such as, like I mentioned, superwash and so on. So let's talk spinning methods for a second. One strand of yarn just one strand of yarn that is spun is called a single ply. Yarn which is made out of several single ply brands spun together is called a multiply or multiplied. When we come across a yarn which is classified as a 3-ply, 4-ply, and so on, the number refers to the number of separate single ply used to compose that multiply. So if it's a 3-ply, it has 3 strands that each of them is individually spun, and then all 3 of them are spun together, and so on. The single strand as well as the multi-ply yarns can be either S-twist or Z-twist. Now, these letters refer to the directionality in which the yarn is spun. Strands of spun yarn, sorry. So strands of yarn which are spun clockwise are called a S-twist because the angle of the fiber that it makes when you look at the yarn looks like the letter S. And in the same way, strands that are counterclockwise or spun counterclockwise are called a Z-twist because they make the form of a Z. And to make that a little clearer, we're gonna try and take a look at this strand of yarn. Let's see if it, okay, so, but you have to look at it this way. I'm gonna try. All right, so you guys see those, I'm gonna try to hold it so that I can use my other hand to show you. So you guys see how the angle on those, the angle in the twist. So that is what we're talking about. When you look at the strand, if that angle of the twists make an S shape, then it's an S twist. If it makes a Z shape, then it's a Z twist. Okay. Hi, Ma. My mom is here. Hi, Ma. אני אוהבת אותך המון. נשיקות. Hi, Christy. Welcome. I agree, Crafty Chats. It will be way more friendly to the environment if big brands would do that. Linda, you are more than welcome to lurk. Kim says you should get black felt and put it on a cardboard to hold these things up against so we can see. That is a good idea. I was not ready for that. But perhaps... No, I don't really have anything here that I can hold behind it. Maybe this? I don't know if white will work as well as black. You guys tell me. Can you see it better now? Now I know I can see it on my camera. I can see it better. So so I hope that you guys can see it better too. So what I'm talking about is the directionality, those lines that go across that are made from the two strands of yarn being twisted together. Right? So in this specific case, this yarn is two strands of yarn that are twisted together, so it's a 2-ply. And all right, Bobby said it's better. Cynthia says she can see it better. All right, so I will try to, I just gotta try to hold it steady so that you guys can see. So if you see those lines that go across that are created by the twist, that is what we're talking about. So if the yarn is spun clockwise, these lines will make the shape of the letter S. And if the yarn is spun counterclockwise, then they will make the shape of the letter Z. I hope that was better. That was more clear. Did my mom teach me? No. My grandma taught me to knit, and I learned crochet later on. But my love for yarn and fiber arts came from my grandma, which is my mom's mom. Yeah, so S and Z twist. So we're talking about the angle that the fibers make. Normally, multiply yarns that are made out of 2 or more single ply strands will be made in the way when each single strand is S twist, then when you spin them together, they should be Z twist. And if the single strands were spun in a Z twist, they should be spun in an S twist when they are spun together. Why? So when the single strands are spun in one direction and the final ply is spun in a different direction, then the yarn has more flexibility. When both of them are spun in the same direction, the final product is firmer and more sturdy. So other than the materials in the yarn, the way the yarn is spun also has an impact on how flexible, soft the yarn is. So that is, in my opinion, an important piece of information. So I always try to, when I can, when it's online, it's probably harder. Sometimes they have close-up shots of the yarn. Sometimes they actually have close-up shots of a certain strand of yarn in some websites. But when you buy, when you go to the store and buy yarn, you actually have a way to feel it and pull out one strand and look at it, then you can figure it out by looking at it. And that's important. In addition, the direction of spinning, you should also be interested in the twist degree. The degree of the twist can be classified in 3 categories. So it can be low twist, normal twist, or high twist. Normal twist is the normal, whatever falls within the common spinning norms, what I think it's like most mass-produced yarns that you find in the stores. Low twist yarns contain less degree of the twist than standard. So whatever is spun in a lower degree than the common norm has low twist. And low twist yarns have bulkiness and soft feel, and they possess less strength than the normal twist yarns. They show less structure, and they look a little coarser. and pilling properties of fabrics that are made out of low twist yarns are very poor. So they tend to pill more. And high twist yarn contains a higher degree of twist than the standard, than the norm. And this yarn will have kind of like a rough feel to it. So let's say if we talk softness, so the low twist will be softer, the normal one will be the middle, and then the high twist will be less soft and but more sturdy. The high twist degree increases the clarity of the texture of the fabric, and it possesses higher strength than normal twist yarn. So another thing that we can expect from high twist is a very, very clear stitch definition in the final product. High twist yarns look finer and have better pilling properties. So that's another thing that you should, learn or know about your yarn if possible. If that information is provided, if it says on the label that it's high twist and until now you had no idea what it means, now you do. When the spinning method isn't stated on the ball band, you can always, like I said, try pulling out a strand if it's possible. So if you are in the store holding the yarn and the label doesn't say anything of what I just mentioned, then you can pull out a strand of yarn, look at it close, see how many strands of yarn are there, and you can see that at the end, when you pull out the yarn, the end of the strand, you can kind of like pull it from one another and see how many strands are in there. And of course, see if it's a S twist, if it's a Z twist, if the individual strands are spun in a different direction than all three of them together, and so on. It will give you a deeper idea of what your yarn will behave like. Lori says she always gets confused between 3-ply and 3-weight or 4-ply and 4-weight, etc. Yeah, well, the yarn weight category is different. I think the reason you're confused is because in UK terms, one of the yarn weights is actually called a 4-ply, and it is a bit confusing. But I hope that this explanation will kind of make a little bit of order in all of that. Question: has a Z-twist mostly 2 strands of yarn? A Z-twist can be made with any number of strands. It's just the name, the Z-twist, just relates to the directionality in which the yarn is spun. So the individual strands, if they are spun counterclockwise, they can be a Z-twist, or if you spin 3 strands together into a 3-ply and they are spun together counterclockwise, then they are a Z-twist. So roving yarn is going to be a variable twist degree. Yeah, roving is sometimes no twist or very, very low twist. Would a high twist yarn be like the Icelandic wool? No, not to that degree, Bobby. It will just be, since because it depends on what kind of components are in the yarn, you need to take both of those variables and put them together. So the fiber content together with the form of twist will give you softness, right? So along with other processes that the yarn goes through. So it wouldn't necessarily, not any high twist yarn will be like that sturdy and rough. But because there's also 100% superwash merino high twist that also exists. It just means that the yarn itself will be sturdier, It will hold better. Francis, this is what she likes in Stylecraft. It has a higher twist, and for an acrylic yarn, oh, the acrylic yarn has a body. I get that. I understand what you're saying. Claptrap says she likes high twist yarn also because it is usually easier to crochet without splitting. Yes, that is correct. High twist will split a lot less, while low twist or no twist will be harder to crochet with because it will split more. Hi, Catherine. Welcome. Thank you for joining. It's okay being late. Is there a conversion chart UK to US of what? UK to US, I have a lot of conversion charts for UK for US, but for what specific variable do you need? Hi Sadie, welcome. Thank you for joining. Please don't forget to hit the like button when coming in, and if you're not yet subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. The one I showed, Jana, yes. So the Bernat satin, that's the one I showed. This one is a normal twist yarn. So, I mean, this is like the norm. And like I said, most big companies, okay? Most big brands, Bernat, Red Heart, you know, all the Yarnspirations family, Lion Brand, Premier, for us Europeans, Katja, Lana Grossa, Lang Yarns, and so on. Most of them do 80% of their yarns in a normal twist. There are some which are low twist and or, you know, roving yarn, of course, does not fall under this definition, as well as all those beautiful cakes that we really like that has the strands of yarn separate from one another. So those are no twist, right? They are not even twisted at all. All right, so are there any more questions specifically regarding the way yarn is spun together? If not, we will move on to special processes that the yarn goes through. D says first has a Z twist and then there's ZZ twist. Yeah, so ZZ means that each individual strand is spun in a Z twist, and then when they are spun together, they are spun in a Z twist again. So it's Z and Z, which will make the yarn firmer. That is what we were talking about. So yarn that is more flexible or has flexibility to it is yarn that is spun S twist, for example, and then together in a Z twist, or the other way around, vice versa. Yeah, yarn that's spun in each individual strand in a Z twist or an S twist, and then together in the same twist will be sturdier or less flexible. Jenny says no twist. I was doing a puff stitch today with no twist yarn. Tears were shed. I get that, Jenny. The struggle is real. Here, see this? Do you know how many puff stitches are in this oh my god, and it's not just a puff stitch. This pattern has a laying puff stitch in there. For those of you who know what the laying puff stitch is, you might understand how difficult it is to do with a yarn that's not spun together with 3 separate strands of yarn. Yes, yes, Jenny, I get you. I'm right there with you. Yes, the struggle is real. But I still, nonetheless, I really love the finished look of and drape of no spin. So those those gradient cakes that have 3 or 4 separate strands and you hold them together. I personally am a big fan of those. It gives an amazing drape to your finished product. It makes beautiful shawls, and you can see the difference between a spun yarn and a non-spun yarn in a finished shawl. Hi Petra, welcome. Yes, Catherine, it is. It is a pain in the ass. It is already a pain in the ass as is, so with a non-spun yarn, yes. Fortunately, only one row. That is good, Jenny. Jenny, I think that everyone in the chat is feeling your pain. ZZ Twist would be more suitable for bags and other things that you don't want to stretch. Yes, definitely. Definitely. You know those cords, Utah cords that you make like plant hangers out of? Those are normally either ZZZ or SSSS twist. So they're like individual strand spun in one way, and then 2 of them spun together the same way, and then 2 of those 2, so 2 spun together, and then 2 more spun together again in an S, and that's how they make those like really sturdy ropes, you know, even like ropes for tying, for riding, for boats. That's the way they make them. That system is used in everything that has anything to do with cording. So you don't have the muscles for t-shirt yarn. Okay, so we will move on to the next thing that we want to talk about, which is special processes that yarn goes through. And I chose 3 main ones, or 3 that I think that most of us will be familiar with. So some yarn companies put their yarns through special processes to improve certain qualities in the performance of the yarn. The most common process made on yarn is the method that we all know and are familiar with, and it is the method of making a wool yarn superwash. Superwash yarn is wool yarn which is machine washable, and you guys all stated in the beginning that it is very important for you to know if the yarn is machine washable. So if your yarn is marked as superwash, you can safely wash it in your washing machine and it will not felt. So that is the term superwash is specifically used for wool-based yarns that tend to felt. So each hair of wool is made out of scales, and felting occurs when those scales bind together. It normally happens in water, or when it comes in touch with water. The superwash process prevents the scales from binding, so therefore preventing this felting process. This can be achieved, so this superwash can be achieved by either removing the scales altogether or covering the scales with a special material. However, when buying superwash yarn, it is very important to remember that although it is safe to use in the washing machine, you should not wash it on high temperature, as it can be damaged, or the yarn that is superwash, the superwash coating can be damaged. So since companies will say if their yarn is superwash or not superwash, but will not tell you what method are they using, so always assume the method is the coating method, which can be damaged in high temperature of wash. So always get when you get superwash wool, always assume that the method they use is the one that's coating the scales and not the one removing the scales. And always say to yourself, okay, it is coated, but if the temperatures in the washing machine are too high, this coating might still come off and damage the superwash process, and it can still felt. So always assume the worst. So that is superwash. Now, what I like is that, I mean, the superwash process is not a very new, but a relatively new addition to the fiber world. So ever since the superwash process came out, everyone is looking for those superwash wool yarns, right? And what I like is the phenomenon that followed, which is wool companies also marking wool that is non-superwash. So look at this. This says 100% NSW. That means non-superwash. So now, if in the beginning the companies would have to state that this wool is superwash, so buy it, now companies have to say if the yarn is not superwash, so that you will not assume that you are buying superwash and then come and complain. So I found that to be very funny. Bobby, I'm happy that that explanation helped you. Jenny says she made a big dressing up basket for her daughter with t-shirt yarn. Looked like an arm wrestler of the woods. I get that. Welcome back, Jamie. And Linda. Sadie says that all of her yarns are non-superwash as it's straight from raw fleece. All right, good to know. But Sadie, as a spinner, do you mark your yarn as non-superwash, or do you not mark it at all, and because you think that that yarns that is superwash should be marked? Do all processes remove all the lanolin? That's the stuff that makes wool self-cleaning. Do all processes remove all lanolin? Oh, you mean the superwash? No. Not some superwash yarn. The method of making yarn superwash removes the lanolin, but some don't, and since no yarn company will ever let you know if it did or it didn't, if the reason you don't buy a certain thing is because of lanolin, because you are allergic to it or sensitive to it, then I would just assume avoid it altogether. There are types of wool that don't contain lanolin, by the way. We were talking about it the other week when we were talking about special fibers. So llama, alpaca, yak, those are all kinds of wool that do not contain lanolin. You love the informative labels. Reggie, are you saying fiber artists are a bunch of whiners? Should I mean, that was a given. Wasn't it? Aren't we all a bunch of wusses? Like, what? Complaining about every single thing. Like, my yarn is felting, my yarn is peeling. It's not spun together. It splits. Who the hell made it, you know? Yeah, of course. Of course we are. Jana says it reminds her of McDonald's putting hot on their coffee so you don't get upset if you get hot coffee. Exactly. Exactly, right? Right? Sadie doesn't write that her yarn is non-superwash, but she gives washing instructions. Yeah, that makes sense. Exactly, right, Debbie? Usually a label would say what it is and not what it's not, which is why I found it to be very funny that companies started labeling their yarn as non-superwash so that you won't assume that it is superwash. Non-superwash wearables are warmer. That is correct. Of course. See, Madonna, I'm not the only one thinking that. Everyone in the chat admits that they are wusses and whiners and a bunch of bloop, bleep, blup, bleepity bloop. All right, any questions about superwash before I start telling you guys about anti-peeling? If you're just stepping in, we are talking about yarn terminology and all the information you can find out about your yarn before buying it. If you're new here, please don't forget to subscribe. If you just came in, please hit the like button. That helps me a lot. That helps YouTube know that we are here and are popular. If you were here last week and forgot to go back to last week's class and comment with an answer to my question in order to enter into the giveaway, this is a reminder to go and do so that I will be able to pick the winner at the end of today's chat. Petra says, I have heard that you need to use specific wool wash to penetrate the fibers. Have you heard that? What do you mean, specific wool wash? I'm not sure what you mean. Sadie says that's why she spins her own yarn, because she whines too much about yarn she buys at the store. Oh, that is interesting. Is it possible to return lanolin to wool by adding lanolin? Oh, and you do one about your own too, Sadie? That's funny. Jamie says she's not a whiner. She's very pleasant and easy to pleasure fiber artist. Haha, not. Oh, I understand what you mean, Petra. I don't know. Sadie says you can sort of add lanolin to your yarn. As you spin it, you can add oils to your hands to spin into it. Lanolin makes wool more dirt and odor resistant. That is correct. When I was a kid, wool jumpers were washed only once a year. Really? Because of fear of losing the lanolin with time? Hello, Wanda. Welcome. Thank you for joining. So don't forget to hit the like button. All right, so no more questions about superwash. Let's talk anti-peeling. So just like wool tends to felt, acrylic tends to peel. That's like, you know, the acrylic the acrylic version. For those of you who don't know, so pills are those hard little balls of tangled fibers that appear on the surface of the fabric, and it makes your clothes look like worn and old. They occur when friction causes fibers to break away from the yarn structure and clump into those little tiny balls. And to prevent that, yarn companies sometimes put their acrylic through a special process which makes it anti-peeling. Through this process, the fiber is especially formulated to resist peeling over time. We all know acrylic is a man-made fiber, so there's a whole bunch of process they can put it through, and this anti-peeling process is like the latest thing. However, not all acrylic is anti-peeling, and the companies who do make it anti-peeling, they state it on their labels. So right now, unlike, you know, superwash that I just showed you, there's not yet like a non-anti-peeling label, but if it is anti-peeling, it will say anti-peeling on it. So if it doesn't, then it's not, most of the time. Yeah, so through this process, as I've said, the yarn is specially formulated to prevent those little peeling, and items that are made with anti-peeling acrylic will come out of the laundry looking fresh and new every single time. So even if there are those little peeling on the fabric that occur, all you have to do is just throw it in the wash and it comes out like new. And that is the wonderful magic of anti-peeling acrylic. I think it will take a few more years until all companies that are making acrylic will take over this this process, because acrylic is a man-made fiber. I don't think it damages the acrylic making it anti-peeling. I think it only adds to it. However, the process of making it anti-peeling is patentized and is very, very expensive. So anti-peeling acrylic will be more expensive than regular acrylic. Crafty Chat says that peeling is the acrylic one downfall. Does the anti-peel process make it more expensive? Yeah, I think that's exactly what I just said. Yes. All right. So yeah, anti-peeling acrylic. Most of the time, if it doesn't say anti-peeling or it's not anti-peeling, I don't see a reason why a company will make anti-peeling acrylic and not label it, because it's something very special. So and there are not that many companies right now that make anti-peeling acrylic. It's like kind of a new development in the fiber world, and as I've said, it is patentized and it costs a lot of money for companies to use it. The last process I wanted to talk to you about, so we talked about processes that are made on wool-based fibers, we talked about anti-peeling that is made on acrylic-based fibers, and the last thing I want to talk to you about is mercerization. So that is another process that you should be familiar with, and it refers to cellulose yarn, cellulose fibers. This is a finishing treatment that is mainly used on cotton flex, and I also recently learned that it's also sometimes made on bamboo and linen, which and this process improves the dye uptake and the tear strength. So it reduces the fiber shrinkage, and it gives it a silk-like glare. It is important to know, however, that mercerized fibers, while being very shiny, stronger, more durable, they are less absorbent. So one of the best qualities of cellulose fiber is their absorbance ability, and the process of mercerization, while making the fiber softer, and because it takes better to dye, the colors might be more gradient, and it will have this beautiful shine, this silky finish. but it will lose its absorbent abilities, or not completely, but they will reduce very gradually. Is that the right word? They will massively. I'm not sure. They will like reduced in a high level. So they will be a lot less absorbent than they were before they were mercerized. So that is something you need to consider. It depends on what the item you're making. If it is important for the final project or the final product of whatever you're working on, that it will have these absorbance abilities of cellular fibers, and then I would not recommend using mercerized fibers. But if it is something that's not important to the finished product and you want this beautiful finished look that is a little bit shiny and is also the colors will be more radiant and it will be sturdier and last longer, then definitely go with mercerized. Okay, let's see what you guys said. Sadie has to go. Thank you for being here, Sadie. I very much appreciate it. Yes, that is correct. Premier is a very big anti-peeling producer. Yes, right, Debbie? Now they will have to say not anti-peeling. Another strike against acrylic is you can't use it for kitchen and bathroom workhorses. Oh, so no dish rags, hot pads, and so on. Correct. Catherine said that's good to know. She bought mercerized and not mercerized cotton to dye and to see the difference between them. Well, let us know what the results were. Did you actually see a big difference between mercerized and not mercerized in terms of dyeing? Supposedly, it's should be a big difference. So, before we move on to the other variants of the yarn, we spoke about what does it contain and how was it made. Those are, for me, personally, the two things that you should look at first when buying yarn. Whether it's, like I said, online or in the store, I think those are the most, again, this is my personal opinion, I think that these are the most important informations that you want to know about your yarn. So you want to know what is it made of and what kind of special processes, if any, did it go through, or how was it made. Let's say it this way. Hi Lisa, hi Mare, welcome. You're afraid of all the rinsing, Catherine. I get that. So now that we spoke about what is the yarn made of and how was it made, we can move on to the other variables that we can find on the yarn label or yarn description. But before I move on, if you have any questions until now, this is the time to ask. I will also remind you all to please hit the like button, and if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, I would very much appreciate it if you subscribe. Don't forget to check out our membership program. It's that little join button right next to the subscribe button, and if you join the membership program, you gain special perks that other subscribers of the channel don't get. And if you want to get a full rundown of what it entails, just push that button, or in the description box below this video there's also a link that will take you directly to that page. Also, I would remind you, if you were here last week and did not yet go and comment on last week's class video in order to enter into the giveaway, you have until the end of today's class, wherein I will choose the winner. I asked a question last week and you should answer it in your comment. I will also show you right now what this week's giveaway will be. Okay, so let me just take a sip. And let's take a look. So today's class, yarn terminology. When this class is over, so when this live stream is finished, not right now, because if you write anything right now, it will go in the chat. When the class is finished and this video goes into replay, come back to the video and comment down below. And I want you to comment what information that I gave you guys today was the most useful for you. Now, after you watch the whole class, you will know. But if you can't watch the whole class, like I said, all the information is already on the blog, and the link to the blog is in the description box below this video, so you can read it there, or you can watch the replay. And comment down below what was the most useful information for you. And the prize for today's question, which we will draw a winner for next week on Yarniversity, is, first thing you will get is this little bag. It's a little drawstring bag that you can use it as a notion pouch, but what it is for is, I will show you guys. So if you are like me and you are a center puller and you like to pull your yarn from the center, then you deal a lot with the case of the collapsed skein of yarn. Exactly for that, we have this little project or drawstring bag that you can drop your skein of yarn into with your center pull on top, of course, right? And, oh, I actually put it the other way around now. But your center pull on top, and then you tighten it around it. And as you work your skein from the center, you keep tightening the bag around the skein, and so it holds it from collapsing. It's the same idea as a cake cozy, but it is made for what we call bullet skein or pull skeins. So this little bag, and with it you will get this awesome pin that says Yarn Addict. It's a button pin. And you will also get these two awesome little stitch markers that I made. And if you're interested in seeing more of the stitch markers that I made, those are two little green sparkly bling bling butterflies. And they have a lobster clasp. So these will come together with the button and the bag. And if you're interested in seeing more of the stitch markers that I made, then they are along with the new spring edition of the surprise yarn boxes. They are all already on the Etsy shop, and don't forget to use your special discount code when shopping on my Etsy shop. All right, so people love the bag, they love the butterflies, they think cake cozies are so smart. I agree. You like the markers. Madonna says green. Hello, Leonard. Thank you. So you guys, as I've said, this will be the prize for today's live chat, and all you have to do is come back to the stream once it goes into replay, comment down below, and let me know which of all the information that I told you guys about today is the most useful or important for you. All right, so there were no more questions, and we will move on to talk about the color and the dye lot. This is something that I assume all of you are familiar with. We were talking about it before in the beginning. Some of you said that, well, of course, the first thing that draws you to the yarn is the color, and then you look closely to see all the specs. But then you should all be familiar with this. When you buy a yarn, there will always be a colorway, either name or number, and the dye lot, what you see here on the other side, right? And that is true to almost any yarn manufacturer. Even independent yarn dyer give their yarns color names and dye lots. It is very important, and we will talk about why. Affordably Crafty says, dye lot clearance at Hobby Lobby is the best. Really the only time I look at dye lot. I have no idea what dye lot clearance is, but that sounds like something that would be, well, yeah, in general, dye lot is important. And let's see why. So color, yeah, the color of the yarn will normally be stated as either a color number or a colorway name, and sometimes both. Colorway names can vary from anything between a simple name like green, or they can be extremely creative like Wicked. If you want some examples for just how crazy and strange colorway names can get, then all you have to do is look at some indie dyers on Etsy or Instagram, and you will get a pretty good idea about the variety of weird names. I must admit that I myself more than once bought a yarn only because of the colorway name. And if you are like me and you like strange colorway names, then definitely, just have a look on Etsy, indie yarn dyers, people who come up with the most interesting and creative names. I personally always have a very good laugh when I'm checking out the colorway names, and yes, like I said, more than once I've bought yarn just because of the color. It's correct. Also in regard to big yarn companies. Yeah, I mean, Hobby has some colorway names that I personally find hilarious, and I more than once bought yarns from them just because of the colorway name. When yarn is dyed a certain color, whether it is in an industrial mill or by hand, it is done so in batches, or what we call lots. Each of these lots is assigned a designated number, and that number is called the dye lot. Each time a color is dyed, the result may vary. It doesn't always happen, but it may, which is why dye lots are important. When making one project using more than one skein of the same color yarn, it is definitely worth checking and making sure that all of your skeins were colored together in the same dye lot. That's the safest way to ensure that the project will have consistency and avoid the color differentiations between the balls of yarn. And if you do have different dye lots, I would recommend alternating during your work so that your work will be more cohesive. So if you have 3 balls that are the same and one that's different, don't use up all 3 of them and then the one or somewhere in the middle. Just alternate in the middle in between balls. It will make the whole look more cohesive. Sherry also loves the Hobby Lobby clearance. They clear out particular dye lots once a year. Oh, that's a good thing to do. Lori also loves looking at names of yarns and totally buy based on names sometimes. I get that right there with you. Claptrap says, I buy enough yarn for a large project at the same time. I can reasonably expect that the dye lot is the same. If there is any left, they can go into small projects. I know that some of the bigger, well, you guys all know that I shop for most of my yarn online, and some of the bigger companies out there, some of the bigger online websites out there did start letting customers know what dye lot they are getting before getting it. So when you are on the website, and sometimes if you go to order and you already have some of the yarn, you can request a specific dye lot, and if they have it, they will try to send you the dye lot that you already have. So that's worth looking into if you shop for yarn online. Denise says she feels like blend names are a missed opportunity. So many puns unused. I totally agree. I love a good pun. Jana says she remembers as a kid going to the shops with her mom and helping her find yarn with the same dye lot number. Oh, that's funny. Jenny says she is falling for this often. German company, my bossy, reused names but changed the color. Oh, really? Wound up with mismatched yarn with the same name more than once. Yeah, that sucks. They use the same color, the same name, but the color was different. Yeah, I guess that's why you need the color number and the dye lot. But that sucks that they do that. That's not cool. I never bought my Boshi, by the way. I don't. I mean, I know it, but I never had it. Jana says she thinks it would be a super fun job to create color names for things. Yes, definitely. I want that job. I mean, I would rock at that job. Claptra says she's got the same yarn in mystery boxes that she has already. The difference is so noticeable that she had to check if it is the same shade. See? I have a shawl that I made before I learned what dye lots are. So like right back in the beginning when I first started crocheting. I had 4 balls of yarn to make the shawl out of, and one was a bit different, and I only noticed it once the shawl was done, and it looks terrible. So, yeah, and then I was like, why is this happening? Why did this? And that's how I learned about dye lots. It is important to have dye lot the same when making a big project. Yes, Linda, definitely. Lori says she posted some pictures of her local Black Hat Society on my Facebook page. Thank you, Lori. I will take a look at it when we're done here. Yes, that is correct. Crafty Chats Wool Warehouse is very good with specific dye lots. They actually let you know what you're getting, and you can request a specific one. And lately Hobby started to as well, but Hobby are not as experienced with it, I guess. They are still relatively in the world of yarn. They are relatively new. They're like 2 or 3 years now. And so there's still not in the checkout process, there's still not a place where you can request a specific dye lot like in Wool Warehouse. But I have read in their terms of use and everything that you can write them an email and with your order number and let them know if there's a specific dye lot that you're looking for. Yes, exactly. Wool Warehouse they have the option to request a particular dye lot. Madonna says there are a trillion names. It seems lazy to use the same name for a different color, right? Kim says one of her biggest turnoffs is yarn that has a number for a name. Yeah, not fun. Not fun at all. Lori is saving up to buy some yarn that's called Llama in Drag. Ooh! Oh, wow! I gotta see what it looks like. Wait, I gotta write it down so I will... Oh, where's my pen? I forgot that I took out all the pens out of my... Oh, wait. I have my Yarniversity pen. What do you guys say of this? Isn't it cool? Yes. My Yarniversity pen. So I'm gonna write this down, Lori. Llamas in drag. Llamas in drag. From Trilogy Yarns. Got it. Woohoo! I'm gonna look that up. Sherry says, well, Reggie, this has been very informative, but I gotta download some videos to try to get them all edited. Okay, Sherry, thank you for being here. I appreciate it, and have a good day. Francie often comes across patterns that advise to use a hook to... Don't get it. Sorry. Write it again. Hi, Kim. Welcome. Llamas in drag. Yes, I think we are all going to get that now. Madonna says it's beautiful. I really want to see it now. Oh, Francie meant to say 2 sizes bigger than the yarn label says. Do you often do that in projects? Yes, and we will be talking about it in just a little bit, Francie. Take care, Sherry. Thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. Oh, he did? Don't tell anyone, but I don't watch him. The company is called Trilogy Yarns for Llamas in Drag. I learned about it from Smells Great Guy Ross. Yeah, like I said, I don't watch him. The company owner was in one of his lives. Oh, that's cool. They have a couple of other fun names. Leaky Pipes and Sexy Kaiwa. Ooh. Yeah, like I said, there are some companies who get really, really creative with their names, and more than once I bought a yarn just because of its name. But moving on to another thing that you guys all stated that you look at when buying yarn, and that is yarn weight. Now, actually, the term yarn weight or weight category refers to the thickness of the yarn. And the thickness of the yarn has a large impact on the overall look of your finished project, as well as the amount of yarn or balls of yarn that you will need to complete it. Yarn weight is divided into categories, and each commonly marked with a number and sometimes a name. Now, before we continue, a while ago when we did my online or guide to online yarn shopping, I showed you all this little cheat sheet to teach you guys how to figure out if a certain yarn is indeed the weight that it stated on the website. So you guys all love the cheat sheet, and now that cheat sheet is now on the blog within the blog post related to today's class. So all of you who were asking for that, it's now there, and I'm sorry it took so long, but I hope you will still use it. Jamie says she thinks now every single cake, skein, and hank she owns should be renamed to Llamas in Drag. All right, so let me just hello, Macho. Let me pull up that picture. All right. So, wait, let me make it a little smaller. No, this way you can't see it. Okay, we'll make it this way, and I'm very sorry that I am hiding the bottom two symbols on the corner here with my video, but you guys, you can pretty much understand what they are, right? And like I said, that cheat sheet is on the blog for those of you who want it. All right, so this is the cheat sheet that I prepared for you guys, and it has the symbols for the different yarn weights, and then the names of the different yarn weights or yarn size weight category, and then all the other information that relates to that specific weight category, which will help you determine if a certain yarn is indeed the weight of the yarn that you need or the weight of the yarn that it says it is. Now, not all yarn companies specify the yarn weight on the ball band, and those who do don't always use the same measurements as others. And just to make things even more complicated, there are no universal terms for yarn weight, and there is also variation within the same weight classes, sometimes even in yarns made by the same company. However, there is a way to figure out the yarn weight, or at least to compare it to other yarns and to get better idea about it. The method is called wrap per inch, or in short, WPI. And Kim was mentioning it in the chat before, so for those of you who don't know it, to measure yarn in wraps per inch, you need a ruler and something to wrap the yarn around. Now, if you have one of those thick rulers, you can just wrap it around the ruler itself, or if you have a retractable measure tape or whatever and a pencil, that would work as well. So what you need is a ruler and something to wrap the yarn around that has a consistent circumference. What you do is you begin by wrapping your yarn around the pencil for a few inches, and the yarn should be snug and the wraps should lay side by side without any overlay and without spacing in between the wraps. So no overlapping and no gaps. Make sure not to pull the yarn too tight so that you avoid messing up the measurements. Once the yarn is wrapped for a few inches around that object that you have, you use the ruler to measure how many wraps are in 1 inch. And you might want to measure more than one place, so you might want to wrap the pencil and then measure in a few places so that you will get the right idea. And that will give you the wraps per inch. So how many wraps are in an inch? Now you use that chart, the one that's on the screen right now, to compare your wraps per inch number to the weight category, and doing that will help you determine the weight of the yarn. So when we look at this cheat sheet that I made for you guys here, you can see that all the way on the right is the wraps per inch, and if you have 30 wraps per inch or more, then it is a lace weight. If you have 24 to 30, then it is a fingering or a super fine. If it's 18 to 24, then it's a sport, and so on. Lisa says she's working with loops and threads shimmer shawl. It said it is a 3 light. Nope, she disagrees. It is more like a super fine one or lace. See, that's what I'm saying. Because there is no one universal measure for yarn weights. Every company labels their yarn differently, and they take other things into consideration when labeling it, which is why this method is sort of bulletproof. Jenny says she uses a lot of the 3 or 4 string gradient yarns and almost never use the recommended hook size. Yes, we will talk about hook size in 1 second. So, but going back to what the yarn weight is. So as I mentioned earlier, the nature of different fibers and the variation in the yarn construction and manufacturing across the globe means that it's hard to create one universal standard for those weight categories. That is why I prefer or I recommend using this method. It is safer to compare the yarns that you wish to use with wraps per inch rather than trust the ball band, especially if they are produced by different yarn companies or bought at different times. So if you buy one yarn in one store and one yarn in the other, they might be categorized as the same weight but not be similar. As same with yarns that you have at home and you want to buy not more of the same yarn but yarn that will work together with it. It is very hard to go to the store and be certain that what you're getting is indeed a yarn that is the same thickness as the one that you have at home, which is why this table comes in very, very handy. Catherine says that's the hardest thing when buying yarn online. That's why I relate more weight-length ratio. Yeah, well, like I said, weight-length ratio is also in this cheat sheet. You also have the meter per 100 grams, so you can look at the column in this chart that says meters per 100 grams. So if a certain ball band states that it is 100 meters and it has that it's 100 grams and it has 1000 meters in it, then you can look at this table and say, oh, this falls within the lace weight, and so on. Different colors of the same brand of yarn can be thicker or thinner from the other colors. Softness too. It's like the compounds in the dye affect the puff of the fiber or sometimes or something. Yeah. Lori, I don't think it's the I don't think it's the dye. I think it's because of the way the yarn is made. So maybe the yarn that is dyed a certain color is also spun on a certain machine the same day and so on. That might have something to do with it. I don't think the color can affect the thickness, but I do agree that there are some companies where within the same type of yarn there will be differences between different colors. That is correct. But yeah, so I hope this little cheat sheet is useful for you guys. As I've said, you will be able to find it on the blog if you need it in order to use. I think it's especially handy when buying yarn online because you will have the information in front of you on the website, but you won't be able to assess if they say it's a 3 weight, if it is indeed a 3 weight. But if you look at the meter per 100 grams and this table, it will help you determine if it is indeed or not. All right. So, any questions regarding yarn weight before we move on to the recommended hook and needle sizes? You hate it when yarn brands don't state the length of the yarn. I have not come across a ball band that didn't state the length. I did come across a lot of other missing information, but weight and length were always there. Where did you get yarn that didn't state that? Made a bonding for my brother of tiny one ball. All the red balls were smaller. Really? That's funny. Your dinner is ready. Thank you for being here. Have a nice evening. Wonderful week. And I hope we will see you here more often. Thank you for joining us today. Cynthia says it will be very helpful. I'm very happy for that. Patterns in different countries often state either the weight. Patterns in different countries often state either the weight or the length. It's difficult to convert them. Yeah, that is true. That is true. All right. So we are moving on to the recommended hook or needle size. Now, most ball bands will state the recommended hook or needle size to use with the yarn. However, I often find, like I assume most of you do too, that the hook or needle you use depends more on your own style and your own tension while working with the yarn. I very often end up using a smaller or larger hook size than recommended, and I find myself wondering what determines the recommendations on the ball band. So what exactly are they using in order to recommend what needle you should use? Nevertheless, it can sometimes be useful as a mean of comparison between similar yarns and also give some guidance to beginners or less experienced crocheters and knitters. When talking about hook and needle sizes, we should always remember that different places in the world, just like yarn weight, refer to sizes differently, and the same size hook might be given a different name in another country, which might be confusing. So for that, I have another cheat sheet for you guys. Yes, I have been very busy this week creating these for you. So let's see if you can see that. No, you can't. Can you see it now? 1 second. Let me correct this. Some technical difficulty. All right, now you can see it. So once again, I'm sorry that my head is hiding the corner, but the cheat sheet or this chart is on the blog for those of you who need it. Yarn from AliExpress doesn't always have specs. Oh, okay. I didn't really buy yarn from AliExpress. Lisa says she's found a lot of yarn that only says grams, not the length of yarn. Cannot think which ones, but a few. Oh, that sucks. That really doesn't give you a lot of information if they only tells you how many grams, but not the length. So mainly UK companies. Oh, Lori. Voluntarily. Good luck, indeed. Okay, so here we have a conversion charts for hook and needle sizes between the metric size, the US size, and the equivalent UK sizes. For example, you can see that a US size 7 hook is actually a 4.5 millimeter hook. If you tell a European person like me that they need a size 7, they will immediately think of 7 millimeter. They will not think of 4.5. So you see how that can be confusing, right? To overcome this problem, this is a conversion chart for you, which I hope will help you in case your ball band states a size different than the one that's used in your country. Once again, when talking about what needle or hook size to use, this is information that most yarn companies give on their ball band, but I more use it as a means of comparison because I know how I work with yarn. So I know that I normally use this size of hook for this weight of yarn. For example, when I work with worsted weight, I normally use a 5.5 or a 6mm hook. So, and that's me. So even if the ball band states that it is a worsted and recommended hook size is a 5mm, I would still not go there. I would use what I feel comfortable with. And if you ever watched any of my tutorial, I always say you should use whatever yarn you want and whatever hook size you feel comfortable using with it. So you should adjust your hook size to the yarn according to what you feel comfortable with, and don't always follow the ball band blindly because they don't know you and your tension and how you work and how you hold your yarn and how you crochet. Who do we write to make this universal? I wish there was like the I don't know, the association of blah. I don't know. We should come up with some fun name for that, and then like make it so, like create one, like a high authority for yarn and fiber. Jamie, I never heard those 4 words together in a sentence unless they have the not word added to them, as in the teenage boy did not clean the bathroom. Right, so I hope this conversion chart helps you, and I hope that my 2 cents about figuring out the needle size and hook size yourself was helpful, and we will talk about it a little bit more as we continue to talking about the gauge or the tension, or in other words, swatching. Now you guys all know my personal opinion about swatching, but since we're talking about ball bands, there is no escaping talking about it. So yeah. So when you look at your ball band, wait, I had one that I prepared especially for that. Right, so when you look at your ball band, you will have these tension guides that tells you that for a 10 by 10 centimeter or 4 by 4 inch square, you will have this amount of stitches. Wait, it's down here. This amount of stitches per this amount of rows, or for crocheters, this amount of single crochets per this amount of rows here. So in this case, it's mirrored, so it's really hard for me to point, but in this case you can see that it's 18 stitches for 24 rows with knitting, or 13 single crochets for 14 rows with crochet, using the needle and hook size that they say, which is a 5mm in this case. Now, this specific ball band has both crochet and knitting gauge or tension guides. However, most ball bands will have a tension guide that is geared towards knitters. The tension guide will give you the number of stitches and rows that you can achieve in a 10 centimeter or a 4 inch square of stockinette stitch using their recommended needles. So if there is not, like on this case, the two possibilities, one saying this is crochet and this is knit, if there's only one, then it's knit. Why? Because they're a-holes. That's why. If you're a knitter, most chances are the tension guide on the ball band will not give you a... Sorry, if you're not a knitter, then most chances are the ball band will not give you any useful information. However, it can be used as a tool to compare yarns and serve as a marker to what kind of crochet tension you can expect. It mainly helps you have, if you have made a swatch in the past when working on a project. So if you are a crocheter, what I recommend doing is getting to know your own tension, which means make your own swatch. So take the yarn, any yarn, do it on all yarn weights. Take, for example, fingering weight, and figure out what hook you are most comfortable using with it, and then make a 10 by 10 centimeters or 4 by 4 inch square using the hook that you're most comfortable with and that yarn weight, and figure out how many stitches and how many rows you have within that gauge swatch, and that is your personal tension guide for that specific yarn weight. And do that for all yarn weights to figure out what hook size you are most comfortable with for each yarn weight, and what is your tension when using that hook size with each yarn weight. And that will be your personal tension guide, and that you can compare to the tension guide on the ball band in order to make the tension guide on the ball band be useful for you. That is my personal tip, and I hope that it helped you guys. Maybe once the whole world go metric. Yeah, when they figure out that our method is that much better. Lots of yarn that you buy, does not state the hook size, only the size for knitting needles. Yeah, like I said, they are mainly yarn companies. I don't know why in today's day and age are still the labels on the yarns are still mainly geared towards knitters and not crocheters. Boo-hoo, but what can we do? Made a list of chores needed to be done around the house and he picked that one. Wow, Lori. Wow, how did you get him to pick that one? The UK has been going metric for the past 40 years. Jenny says she used to think that if the crochet hook was missing, you couldn't use it for crochet. Then she learned that they were crochet phobic. Yes, they are. They are totally crochet phobic. I don't get it. Like, what? Why? We're in the 21st century. There are like as much crocheters in the world as there are knitters. At least the currency is using. Yeah, no, Catherine. Self-striping yarn is also always designed for knitters in mind. Yes, that is correct. Not only self-striping, self-patterning yarn. Jana says she usually totally ignores the gauge on the label. I do too. But I mean, I think that if with that tip that I just gave, when you make your own swatches and know your own gauge and know your own tension, then you can still use it as a reference point. If you are buying yarn that needs to go well with yarn that you already have at home, for example. You're from the UK and live in Germany. Nobody can tell me I don't buy 2 pints of milk. Jenny, that's funny. Jana is American and agrees that metric is the best. So, see? He's wondering too. Boo-hoo, what can we do? That is a good t-shirt for you, huh? Francie says she lived in the US. Buying screws was a complete math test. Length and thickness, yeah. I think that I hate swatching too. Hey, hello, welcome. Yes, I think that was for Renee. I think too that swatching is a pain, and I hate it as well. But if you just do it once for all yarn weights to figure out your tension, then you're set with reading the labels on the. Only if you want to, you don't have to. It was just a little tip. Not all my tips are useful. Yeah, pounds are completely over my head as well. I talk in grams and kilos and meters and centimeters, and don't try talking to me in inches and feet, and figuring out how tall I am is a mess. And no, metric all the way. And I think that once the whole world can agree that this method is better, then we can definitely establish our, high authority for yarn and fibers, which will then also be able to come up with the correct measurements for yarn weight, and maybe start including crocheters in, within all that nature catered yarn industry. How much more depressing can it be? I get it, Catherine. All right. So moving on, the next thing you guys all mentioned when talking about yarn was the care instructions. And as a rule, I hand wash all my knit and crochet items, but I do get all of you that just want to throw it in the washer. I think the safest way is to do what you can to not damage them, but who has the time for that? And so it is useful to know what is allowed and what is not allowed in terms of washing, dyeing, or ironing. Most yarn companies use the same care instruction symbols that are used by the textile industry worldwide, which make it very easy to read and understand. Here is one thing that is used worldwide and everyone agrees on and is put on the yarn labels. The care instruction will let you know exactly whether or not you should hand wash, tumble dry, spin, iron, or bleach your knitted crochet items. Although honestly, I don't know why someone will bleach anything. But I guess there are some people who need that specific information told to them. So in case you don't already have one, I also have this handy dandy care instruction chart for you. And this one will be as well on the blog. So for those of you who need it, who don't already have one, or who do not know the symbols as well as you should, this will be on the blog, and you'll be able to access it and I don't know, memorize it, print it, do whatever you need in order to know how to take care of your yarn. In Canada, they only use metric. That is the sensible way to go. Lori says when she was in grade school 45 years ago, they made learn both, but still struggle to convert between measuring systems. Temperatures too. Oh, I don't do Fahrenheit. I only do Celsius. They tried to teach us the metric system in school for about 2 minutes in the 3rd grade before giving up. Oh no! Yeah, pounds and euros. I don't know why Great Britain. Well, they are now leaving the euro again, but once they were in the European Union, I don't know why they couldn't just, give up their currency. Jenny says her washing machine has a hand wash cycle. You can't live without it. I agree. It's like a driver's manual. Exactly, Debbie. Lori says her germaphobe sister-in-law puts a little bleach in every laundry load. Really? But that's like, why? No, that destroys your... No, don't let her do that. Francie says, do not dry. How does that work? No, that refers to do not dry in the dryer, not do not dry at all and keep wet at all times. Oh, I'm sorry, that made me laugh way more than it should have. All right, so one more thing I want to talk to you guys about is a center pull. Now, I love a good center pull. It lets you, a center pull, for those of you who don't know, it lets you pull the yarn from the center rather than the outside of the ball. I am a total center puller. I pull my yarns from the center even when there isn't a center pull, and even if they shouldn't be center pulled. But some yarn brands mark the sides where the center pull should be on in case you prefer that method. There are even some companies that I came across in my search these past 2 days that stick both yarn ends to the label with clear marks as to which one is the center pull and which one is the outer pull, which I find very, very useful. Very user-friendly. So generally, almost every skein or ball can be made into a center pull or used as a center pull. However, not all of them should be or made to be pulled from the center. And if you try to pull a non-center pull skein from the center, you might end up with a big, massive case of yarn barf. But if you were lucky enough to buy a yarn that has that, I will show you. Well, you guys in the US are probably all familiar with the red heart method, which tells you exactly which side of the skein is the outer pull and which side of the skein is the center pull. So in this case, number 1 would be the outer pull and number 2 will be the center pull. So if you want to pull from the outside, pull from that side, and if you want to pull from the inside, pull from that side. I found that to be very eye-opening, and thank you, Debbie, for sending me that information by email this week. Your email actually led to me looking into it and researching it, and then I found out that there are some companies who actually attach the ends of the yarns to the label, making it easier to find them and marking which one is which. And you guys all know that I am a Hobbii girl. Hobbii pretty much marks each yarn of hobby that can or should be pulled from the center has a center pull mark, and I like that a lot about their yarns. Some of the yarns aren't, but then those yarns should probably not be pulled from the center, even though I do that. Yarn barf, yeah. Lori, we need to know if all her clothes are white. No one can tell my sister-in-law anything. Okay, oh no. When she wouldn't share her water with you. Oh, yeah, I can imagine that you're not that close. Mare says vinegar is naturally better than bleach. Exactly. We can put a man on the moon, but not do a center pull, I guess. Yes, I get it. The struggle is real. Kim says it is helpful, but she still gets yarn barf sometimes from Red Heart. Your brother has questionable taste in women. Debbie says she hates yarn barf. Who doesn't? Francis says she only does center pull when it has the sticker on there. Her clothes aren't all white. She just uses like a capful in a whole washing machine, but still, no, I wouldn't do that, no. The new washing machine has a 30-degree wash. I use it all the time and all my clothes come out clean. Washing powder for whites and have bleach added to them. Well, I gotta be honest with you guys. For a very long time, I lived in a kibbutz in Israel. For those of you who have no idea what it is, it's sort of like a cooperative village, like living in a commune. And we had a laundry place, like where you would drop your clothes there once a week and pick them up a few days later, and they would be washed and ironed and folded for you, and all you had to do is take them and put them in your closet. And so until I was 21, I had no idea how to work a washing machine. And when I finally left and got my own apartment in the big city, the apartment came with a washing machine, and I had to teach myself how to use it because no one I knew how to use it because they all grew up in the kibbutz. Yeah. And when I finally figured out how to use it, I followed all the rules, you know, I separated the colors and I used the right materials and all that stuff. And it went like that for quite a long time until I had kids. And now that we are 4 people living in this house, the amount of laundry that we generate is enormous. And so I don't separate anything anymore. I don't separate colors. I just wash everything other than, you know, knit and crochet. I wash all of our textile clothes in the washer together, mixed colors and all, and I put them all in the dryer afterwards, and we're still a very happy family. Lori says it's her husband's sister, unfortunately. He had no choice. Oh no. Yes, the 30 setting is more efficient. Yes, the Red Heart label is very useful. You tried use center pull with paintbox skein and it was a big disaster. That happens, yeah. Christy says she's working with Tencel from Mirafill Yarn. No way to use center pull. Yes, I know that one. It's in the living room. I actually have a work in progress using that yarn. And Yes, there is no center pull on there. There's not even a possibility. Lori used white vinegar for everything because he's allergic to bleach. I didn't know you can be allergic to bleach. But I don't use bleach at all. I don't have bleach at home. Laundry is the true never-ending story. I agree. You were taught when you were 8-year-old to wash clothes? Nope, I did not. I thought that was like some kind of magical... Well, there was a magical system. I would bring my clothes once a week and I would pick them up a few days later and they were clean and ironed and folded. All right, so last thing I want to talk to you guys about is once we figure out all that stuff on the ball band, going through all the information, we decided this is the yarn we want, and now it is time for us to determine how much of it do we need. And the ball band will typically state the dry weight of the skein in grams. So like we said, it will be 20 grams, 50 grams, 100 grams, or ounces. And sometimes both if the companies are friendly enough for the users. But that information alone doesn't suffice. In order to be able to calculate how many skeins you need for your project, you'll also need to have the yardage or the length of the yarn. Once again, most companies state the length and state it in either meter, yards, or both. If you have a particular project in mind for your yarn, knowing how much you get with each skein is very helpful. This way you won't end up playing a game of yarn chicken, which is my least favorite thing which is my second least favorite thing after yarn barf. And you can be certain you have enough to compare your work. Some companies even go as the extra mile and specify how many skeins are needed for a specific project on the ball band. However, once again, this is typically geared towards knitters. So you will have like little pictures of a hat, a sweater, or a scarf, and it will say for a hat you need 1 skein, for a scarf you need la 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 la. But that is information that is geared towards knitters. And since crochet stitches use more yarn than knit stitches, as we all know, a crochet project made with that particular yarn will most likely use more than stated on the ball band. So generally, I always recommend buying 1 more skein than you think you need, just in case, because I'm an enabler and because I think that it's better to have more yarn than you need than not enough. And to make it easier to calculate in case you are not like me and can buy as many as you want, I got another cheat sheet for you. Now, some of you may have already seen something of the sort in the past, but on my cheat sheet, well, wait, let me make it smaller. Once again, this will be on the blog. So on my cheat sheet, I try to round up the numbers so they will cover crochet. So this table that is very commonly found in many websites online is, like I said, geared toward knitters, and I did the extra calculation to have it geared towards knitters and crocheters. So the numbers are higher to cover up for the extra yardage that you will use because you're using crochet stitches. So it's much friendlier than the information that you will get on the ball bands. Like I said, all of the cheat sheets that I showed you guys today are already on the blog, and you can go to the blog and pick them up. And I hope that they will be helpful for you, and I hope that the information in general that we were talking about today was helpful for you. And I hope that the next time that you shop for yarn, be it online or in the store, you will have a easier time deciding what you want. You will be able to use that information to better understand what you're holding in your hand. And yeah, so I hope this was helpful and useful for you all. And if you have any questions, this is the time to ask. Crafty Chat says her cousins honestly believed there was a laundry fairy. Lori volunteers sometimes at a place that helps newcomers to the US acclimate. Electric stoves and air conditioning, but also washing machines and dryers were very stressful for the members of the group. Really? Wow. I mean, I knew laundry machines existed. I had no idea how to operate them. Kim says the extra skein will also make a lovely addition to a scrap project. Exactly. You can never have too much yarn, right? Jean says, thank you so much for taking the time to make all these charts and sheets. You're welcome, Jean. That's what I'm here for. I'm glad this was helpful and useful for you guys. I'm glad you liked it. I'm glad it was interesting. Great. Well, I'm glad that you all found it interesting and useful, and I hope that there was some information in here that you did not have before, and now you have it, and you learned something new today at Yarniversity, and that this was a fruitful day at Yarniversity for you guys, even for you guys sitting in the back drinking the beer in the corner. Debbie says it was very helpful. Now we need to unite to standardize the world. Yes, next on my agenda. It is on my to-do list. True, it does depend on the style of stitches, and there's a big difference. If you do a popcorn, single crochet, I agree. That is correct. Do center pull balls create a tighter or looser spin? Do center pull balls create a tighter or looser skin? Spin on the yarn, you mean? You mean when pulling the yarn out? So from my personal experience, when working with a skein or a ball that was made to be a center pull or is made in a way that can be either center pull or outer pull, I did not found any tangling in the yarn because I'm center pulling. However, I have said it before, I am a center puller. I pull from the center no matter if the yarn was made for it or not. And on yarns that were not made for it, a lot of times because I pull from the center, there is twisting and tangling in the yarn. And I just solve that by every once in a while, just like picking up the ball and let it spin. I'm glad you all found it useful, and you are very welcome, and definitely go to the blog post and get all those charts. And I'm glad you always enjoy it. In particular, buy that extra skein for crochet. Started as knitter, so did not know this. I'm very happy that you're. I'm very grateful for all of your feedback, and I'm very happy that you feel that you're smarter now. Beyond point of this video, but could you give advice at the end on how to deal with pom-pom yarn? The intervals are inconvenient for most of the stitches and the distance of stitches in my fabric. Oh, so I do not wind my own balls to create a center pull. I just reach in and pull them from the center. I will answer your question in a second about the pom-pom yarn. So, about the pom-pom yarn. Pom-pom yarn is a yarn that is made for a very specific purpose, and the purpose of that is that your final product will only show the pom-poms, and all the rest of the yarn that's in between will sort of like be the behind stitches. It's hard to understand when first working with pom-pom yarns. There are tons of tutorials about it online, how to work with or how to make something with pom-pom yarns. However, if you're working with pom-pom yarns and you are trying to make something that your final goal is not to have just a surface of pom-poms, then I would suggest using a very large hook. That's the best tip I can get. So from what I found, because I did work with pom-pom yarns in the past, I found that it has like a very specific purpose. So it's supposed to make items that are like surfaces of pom-poms. So like a pillow cover or a rug, or I don't know, panels of the front of a cardigan, although it would be kind of heavy. But if you're trying to make something else with it and just have the pom-poms as sort of like a garnish on it, just use a really, really large hook. You will get something very like holy, but it will have a very interesting look to it. I made a few scarves like that, and they're whimsical scarves. Yes, definitely what Catherine says. If you look up like patterns that are specific for pom-pom yarns, there are beautiful things made with them, but they are made in a way that all you are supposed to see on the outside of the project is the surface of the pom-poms, and all the in-between yarn is not supposed to be seen. You're welcome. All right, so like I said, I hope this was very helpful for you guys. Don't forget to come back to the video when it goes into replay and comment down below to enter for this week's giveaway. And now we will go back and pull the giveaway from last week. So I will take you guys with me to the YouTube random comment picker. And I already put in the URL of last week's video, so I hope that you all remember to come back and comment. Just to remind you, the prize for last week, or for what we are pulling for right now, is the hand cream from Scritzy, the mango scented hand cream, the mango lip balm from Yves Rocher, and the cute little animal pin that says don't hate, create. So I got the URL insert here, and I am going to filter duplicate users and get the comments, and we have 24 comments, and let's see who wins. And before I pull out the winner, please, if you are the winner, email me. My email is in the description box below this video. Say I am the winner. It helps if you email from the same account that you use on YouTube. Otherwise, I will have to go through a small verification process before I can send you your prize. But it will help if you use the same account. And write me your full address, including what country you're from, so that I can ship your prize to you. All right, so I hope you're all ready. Let's start and see who won. And the winner is Jamie, the Naughty Canuck. Interesting, and completely changed how I now view yarn bombing. Says Jamie about our yarn bombing artist, I believe. Oh, sorry. So congratulations to Jamie. You won the hand cream, the lip balm, and enamel pin. And please contact me to the email in the description box below and let me know that where I should send your yarn. Not your yarn, your prize, because there is no yarn. Congratulations to you and cheers. All right. So, yeah, as everyone is now congratulating Jamie, congratulations. I'm very, very happy for you. All of you guys, don't forget to come back to this week's video and comment down below. Let me know which of all the information, different charts and cheat sheets that I prepared for you was the most useful for you. Or just, general what you have to say about today's class. Or general comments about Lori's teenage boy cleaning the bathroom. Let me know in the comments. And next week on Yarniversity, we will pull a new winner for the little, I'll show it to you again, the little drawstring bag that can be used to hold what we call a bullet skein or a skein of yarn, just like a cake cozy, and the Yarn Addict pin, and 2 stitch markers that I made. And if you're interested in seeing more stitch markers that I made, as I've said, the Etsy shop has been updated with a lot of new stuff, so check it out. And don't forget to use your discount code. Right, you guys, it's been a pleasure hanging out with you this evening, and I hope you'll enjoy the class. If you haven't yet, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. If you're not yet subscribed to the channel, don't forget subscribing, and I will see you all next week on Yarniversity. I will keep the chat running for you guys to say goodbye, and until then, see ya.